Ghana celebrated its 69th anniversary of independence, a journey that has seen remarkable democratic gains, economic transformation, and also regional leadership on the continent. From the peaceful electoral transition to homegrown innovations and active roles in regional bodies like ECOWAS, Ghana has often been held up as a model of democratic stability in West Africa. Nigeria, among other African nations, has formally congratulated Ghana on this achievement, reaffirming strong bilateral ties that span politics, trade, and also culture.
Now, but as Ghana turns 69, questions linger about the strength of its democratic institutions, economic resilience, and, of course, the economic resilience amid global headwinds, and its evolving role in shaping a continental leadership. To help us now unpack and reflect on these themes, we're joined by Simon Tsike-Sossah, a political philosopher with a deep insight into African governance and democratic thoughts. He joins us from Sierra Leone. Welcome, sir, to Breakfast Extra. Now, let's start with...
Thank you very much, and thank you to the viewers.
Thank you.
Let's start with the history, At 69, Ghana is often praised for its track record of peaceful transitions and democratic continuity. How do you rather assess Ghana's democratic journey over the decades?
Yeah, thank you again, and good morning, Africa. Good morning, Nigeria. And Ghana has always been the first in many. We have come a long way, and like most of Africa and West Africa in particular, the path through democracy has been rugged and difficult. We've had our first democratically elected Prime Minister and President, Kwame Nkrumah. And then from there, we've had a series of coup d'etats, culminating with Jerry John Rawlings, who passed recently. And after that, we've seemed to have had some kind of stability in the region and have held that flag of sustained democracy until now. So it's been 69 years. The Independence Day was Friday, 6th of March, sorry. And today is the 8th, so it's been a couple of days since. We've held that flag very high. We've been also a leader in thought and in doing, in trying to build political maturity, political governance, and also to be able to provide a total leadership for the continent. And we've seen that in Kwame Nkrumah. And further down the road, we've seen that in former President Rawlings and former President Kufuor. And I think this second coming of John Mahama has also reignited this sentiment of leadership for not only West Africa and Ghana, but across all of the African region. So it's been difficult. We've had our fair share of difficulties. And what makes all of these things very, very interesting is the theme for this year's independence, which is building prosperity and restoring hope. And this theme suggests that something may have happened for anybody to want to talk about building prosperity. It means that prosperity may have diminished, and therefore you want to rebuild it, right? And restoring hope also means that hope may have been diminished, and you want to rebuild hope. So it's in that theme, it already tells you a story about where Ghana is and where Ghana wants to go. If you look also at the ceremony itself, you will see that it was not about a pageantry, as it used to be at the Independence Square with thousands and thousands of people and hours of display. But it's been also very much reduced. It's held at the presidency, smaller spaces. And philosophically for me, it also reduces the distance between government and the governed, because it means that the representative of Ghanaians who came to that event were at the presidency, very close to the president. And I think it marks that thinking, that rethinking of who we are as the people. We are not showing anybody that we are independent. We've now taken, that is my interpretation of this process is that we are not showing that we are independent. We are showing that we now understand independence is also a tax, and that we need to deliver certain things to be able to meet that that thinking. So this has been the journey, and we've also lost some hope, and that is what the team suggests. We've seen our economy tanked the last few years, running up to 2023, I think 2024. Things were very hard for us, and I think the last few years, years now, we start to rebuild back, and that is important for us. Thank you.
Great, Simon. Simon, it all sounds very interesting, yet very academic, everything that you've said. But of course, you're a political philosopher. But I would like to ask you this next question from the premise of our jollof is better than your jollof. After all, we are talking about Ghana, Nigeria here. 69 years of independence for Ghana and 65 for Nigeria. And I'm wondering if it's the beacon for democracy when it comes to the African continent. Why hasn't Ghana done better than Nigeria when it comes to leadership of the West African sector?
No, I like I said, we've always led. We've always led.
Have you now?
But,
are we going to go there?
Well, Kwame Nkrumah has always provided that leadership, right? And for as a founding father, but I also do not want to see the whole Kwame Nkrumah thing as a competition between the founding fathers of Africa's political age at the time, but I see it more as a collaborative work. Unfortunately, a collaboration also means that not everybody will agree with you, or you will not be in agreement with everybody at the time. And I think a few people, the former president of Nyerere of Namibia, I think, no, sorry, of Malawi, if I'm correct, Nyerere, many years later, said that as the founding fathers of Africa, they were wrong for not following what Nkrumah was saying, because Nkrumah has become a Bible. His thought, his writing, his thinking have become a Bible and a book of prophecy for Africa. Everything he has said, everything that he thought should be happening has happened. And I think that with John Mahama in this second leadership opportunity for John Mahama, he has gone back to that mantle. And if you look at Azikiwe and other leadership of Nigeria, they were very much not in favor of, number one, seeing a small boy, because at that time, I think most of them were older than Kwame Nkrumah, and there was that African paternalistic thought that a younger person cannot lead older people. So Nkrumah could not lead them because they were older. Nigeria was bigger and more populous. Again, it became a thing of numbers. So it's all over there. But I think that what was the problem is that we missed, and we still do miss that, to be able to sit together and say we have a common problem. Earlier on your show, you talk about illegal miners, unrest, conflict, and economic sabotage. It is across all of the region, all of the continent is there. So our problems are not different. There might be economic, there might be cultural, there might be philosophical, there might be historic contexts that are different, that gives us nuances. But the real problems, the fundamental problems are the same. You know, so it was an opportunity we missed, and I wouldn't want to try to debate whether who was important or not. But I think if you look at Liberia and Sierra Leone in the beginning of the war, the leadership was provided by Ghana, and the muscle to be able to implement that leadership was by Nigeria. And so it would be very wrong for anybody to say that Nigeria was a leader or Ghana was a leader. But again, it was a work of collaboration that we need to keep working. And the jollof case is always, it's always one that I've eaten Nigeria jollof, I've eaten Sierra Leone jollof, and I've eaten other jollof. And I think that we'll leave that for when we are on the table to eat jollof again.
Thank you for the invitation. I will take that as an invitation to Accra, Ghana, when you want to host us. Yes. But let's continue now. Let's take a look at this from governance point of view, or from a democratic point of view. Now, Ghana sits very positioned in a place where it is under the Sahel belt. There is Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso who have gone to the side of military rule. Now, Ghana has also gone through its own challenges when it comes to democracy, and I'm wondering how it has responded to the ideological contagion on top of it when you look at the map. How has it responded to the militarization of these states that used to be part of the West African Union? How is it affecting democracy in Ghana?
Thank you. I think first, you will not appreciate what this Sahel divide creates at the ECOWAS unless you are in the chamber of the ECOWAS assembly. When you are in the assembly and you are on the stage and you look out onto where the people sit, it is sad. You will see the missing flags of all the countries that are no longer part of ECOWAS. And it's not just a display of space. It's a display of how our brothers are missing in a space that we need them to be able to work together. What have we done? I think in this John Mahama's government, what we have seen is that first of all, he created a special envoy for the Sahel region. I think it's retired Lieutenant Colonel Beho. And one of his assignments, I believe, is to try and work to make sure that we can, as Ghana and also as greater ECOWAS, we can still keep our brothers to try and come back. So I think Colonel Beho's work is conflict resolution and negotiations and how even in the circumstances we find ourselves, how can we work with our brothers and sisters? If you travel by road, you will understand that this is not a joke. It's not so much about an ideological difference, because between Francophone West Africa, even those who are here, and I have done these travels every time, you get to Ivory Coast and they will tell you that they don't regard the ECOWAS card. They see their own regional grouping as CEDEAO, as their card, and therefore if you have an ECOWAS card, they don't see it. And so you can imagine that the group that have removed themselves from ECOWAS, you can see the difficulties that it could pose for travelers and traders on the corridor. So these are very serious problems. What have we done in this thing is that you saw also that the President Mahama on winning the election, one of his first travels was to go to Burkina Faso to try and talk to Moussa Traore. So it's very important that we are not just saying this is an ideological debate. It is a problem of politics, it's a problem of survival, it's a problem of what is better for us. It's a question of sovereignty. It's not so much about ideology. And I think that if you are in a group that does not prioritize you, does not take you seriously, you may want to rethink what works for me. Okay. One of the weaknesses of ECOWAS has been that we have not been together to question the illegalities that people have done within the region. You know, we have so much elevated Western diplomacy over our African homegrown diplomacy.
All right, then, Simon, just...
You know, yes.
I mean, I think that's an orientation that needs to be done altogether, African diplomacy, because I think, like you said, that's something that's been lost in translation. But I want us to look at the economic front of Ghana, you know, because we know that Ghana has experienced both growth and hardship, from oil revenues to inflation as well as debt concerns. How would you assess where Ghanaian economy stands today, and what challenges need urgent attention today?
I'll be very careful here because my tutelage is not economics. Okay. But one of my key areas of research is youth, the concept of youth and being youth, which I call youthness. And the economy is very much strong in these spaces, especially for our young people, where we see very high unemployment. There are different shades of employment or unemployment, you know, and for 60% or more, of our young people, they are either unemployed or are not employed in spaces that they have the skills and capacity to deliver in those spaces. So however you call it, it is some form of unemployment. And life has been difficult for the Ghanaian youth in many ways. But one thing that is also interesting is hopefully the start of John Mahamed's government's 24-hour economy. That I hope that when they start it will alleviate some of the economic problems for us. We have done better with our gold reserves management. We've had a few issues recently. We've had cocoa coming up. But I think that he and his team so far have been on a good job, doing a good job to come. And the important thing is that, you see, sometimes the economy can be bad, but if people feel a surge of hope, you see Ghanaians across the world on Friday and Saturday, Ghanaians across the world were rallying the flag of Ghana in their homes, in their offices, everywhere, showing that there is an upsurge in hope, there is an upsurge in the belief of a new Ghana. And I think there is no better economic currency than that. It means that people are uplifted, they want to do better for themselves, they want to contribute. And the question that is, to paraphrase, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country, is very much alive in Ghana. People just want to do better for themselves. And I think that's where we want to go. And I will use this medium, especially for leaders listening, that a 24-hour economy is not about just creating jobs for young people. You need to ask young people what jobs they want. Because if you go and create construction work, not every young person wants to do construction work. If you think that everybody wants to farm, it's wrong. So we need a deeper conversation to try to figure out what are the things that young people want, how do they want to do that, and how can we support these processes. And I think this symbiotic relationship is what governments need, especially this government, with the leverage of hope it has brought to these people, with a good, yes.
Yes, Simon. Simon, apologies, but we have come to the end of the show in itself. But I want to say thank you very much for spending your Sunday morning here with us. I could tell that you've been watching since from before, if you were able to mention some of our other segments, and we appreciate that. Listen, hey, whether you like it or not, we are brothers. It doesn't matter the lines on a map. It doesn't matter the tone of your blackness. It doesn't matter the length of your facial scar. Ghanaians and Nigerians are still brothers. But Simon, our jollof is still better than yours. Thank you very much for joining us, Simon.